So this is my first RC that I've built. This is a axial ryft kit. There isn't really a whole lot left that is original axial. The cage is original, and the transmission. Even some parts of the cage aren't part of the kit. They are separate, purchased separately, so then I can have a combination color cage, black and gray. Custom aluminum body panels. I do have the Vidavon portals. These are GMP or GPM or whatever they're called. Aftermarket shocks. These are both the 150 millimeter rear shocks. These are cheap Amazon metal axles. Internals are axial differentials, gears, and Vidavon shafts, obviously. Trio shock mounts, front and rear. This is a custom insert I made for the shock. See how that's made? It allows me to mount the shock in line with the axle. You can't hardly see it in there, but the head of the shock is in line like this. Generally it's 90 degrees of that, so, but it has a Trio skid, Castle 1515 motor. Motor and transmission has been lifted, so then it kind of clears a little better. Custom made battery mount in the back. Black Mamba X. Homemade winch. Homemade brace. Homemade body mounts or body panels. Another brass weight. I got a ESC to control the winch because I didn't build it so I could just plug it into the ESC. So this has the 17 tooth pinion, still mod 1. All custom links, stainless steel, high clearance in the back, straight in the front, just because of length of the rods I got. They're originally, I believe, 6 inches or 150 millimeter. So I can't remember. It's about 13 inches wide and I believe 18 inches long. Has a 2-speed. So after I built that and got it kind of mostly bulletproof, these are all axial ends, and here they seem to be pretty reliable. They stretch and then break, so it eventually will need to be replaced, but need a weak link. And then I bought this. This was a 1.9 Wraith. This was the original body for it. Oh, backwards, obviously, apparently. Since they don't make them anymore, I didn't want to ruin the body. But again, aluminum panels were homemade. Sorry about that. Didn't stick up on it too bad. I did put the AR-45s underneath it, which I think are pretty cool. Some custom goodies besides that. Homemade brass links in the front, high clearance rear links, Castle 1412 SSD 2-speed transmission, Amazon servo. This is actually a Spectrum. I can't remember. This is the one for the Ryft originally, the 614S or something like that, S614 or something, that I turned into a winch. This is the switch for the lights. There are 2 lights here, 2 lights up in here on the frame. There are, let's flip this over, magnetic hood mounts, multi-placement shock mounts. These are from Intigi. A lot of the frame supports are Intigi. This is the, I can't remember who makes that, but I got it from Aiming, the dual servo or chassis mounted servo mount. So one's a winch and the other is a steering servo. And then shock hoops, braces obviously. Homemade front bumper, lights in here, lights right here, lights under here. See those 2 little ones? So it's got the BPC frame mount, or the frame support. This is a custom made battery box. Since I took the wheel wells out, I was actually able to drop the battery mount, or the battery box, even further in to get a little lower. Power button, some netting for the cab, for the top, Desert Lizard shocks, Amazon tires. Looks like I gotta reseat those beads. These are some knockoff Pitbull tires. Yeah, so all sorts of spare parts from this one, and this one turned out really well. This has got a fair amount of articulation, but it's got what would it be, 3/4 droop set up in the front, and then 3/4 sprung in the rear. This is, I'm sure, an Intigi multi-mount for the back, or a multi-shock mount, whatever you want to call it. A recovery rope, I suppose, and a hook. Yeah. So, lots of parts left over from that guy and that guy, including all the cage pieces from that. So, had axles left over, center skid, all sorts of links. And so I made that. This is a ryft 1.9. The AR-44 axles off of the 1.9 Wraith, more aluminum body panels. This is the only one that isn't brushless. This has got a 3-gear transmission, SMT-10 rear shocks. These are the upper links off an SMT-10, or I suppose a Yeti or whatever you want to call it. Some spare shaft or links I had that happened to fit, extended the wheelbase out, so it is same length as the Wraith 1.9, which is about, I want to say, 13.5 inches. No winch in this one yet, but I do have a chassis mounted servo. Some leftover spare parts from the cage, you know, that are hodgepodge basically. Dynamite ESC out of the 1.9 Wraith. Again, another Amazon servo. These are the, I believe, 100mm shocks from the AR-45 axial kit. Not really a whole lot to say here. Battery mount here, because obviously the front is on these ryfts. I really kind of like using the front for putting all the electronics and stuff. SCX 10.2 center skid. You have to pinch the frame together about, I think it's 10mm. I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to remeasure it, but so then what you have to do is all of these center braces. I didn't cut this one, but you got to cut all these. This one for the hood, all these down in here, down under here, and here this battery mount. You can kind of see it's got a little bit of a bow, and then you can see the frame here, or the tube frame here has that as well. But in the back, it's got, this is by far again the lightest one that I have. I haven't highly modified it yet. You can see it's a little more jacked up in the rear than the front. Aids in going up hills, but down hills it wants to tip over, but not as bad. But it's relatively lightweight. This is the lightest one that I have. Yeah, again, another recovery strap, recovery rope, whatever you call it, paracord. Not much to say really about this one. This is kind of a work in progress. We'll need to get bigger tires. It has the way that the proportions are, it's almost perfect, but I would say I'd like to put maybe like J Concepts 1.9 Fling Kings on it and make it kind of a mud runner, and then put a 2-speed, probably a RC 4-wheel drive 2-speed in it, because then I don't have to worry about putting the main shaft from this transmission into that. But I did get a good one, a good SSD transmission, 2-speed. But yeah, this one's just got a 540 motor with I believe a 13-tooth pinion. Nothing crazy. 4-link in the front with chassis mounted servo. I didn't convert it to a 3-link with a panhard. I did make a mount for panhard, but the way that the clearances are doesn't really accommodate well for one. So, alrighty, I'll make some videos of running them.